Hey guys, so today I'm actually going to be doing my brush cleaning video for you. It's kind of an updated version because I use different stuff to when I last filmed. So I'm going to be using the Johnson's Baby Shampoo for my big brushes and some of the little brushes that are really hard to clean. And for my small eyeshadow brushes I'm going to be using the Japonesque, I think that's how you say it, Solid Brush Cleanser. Which is just basically a solid block and you just swizzle it around. So I'm going to do that video and show you how I do it. So I always let the kind of lukewarmish water run so that it starts to kind of warm up a little bit. Just taking my brush, it's really dirty. I'm going to get it wet. Get a small blob of baby shampoo into the palm of my hand, like so, and then swirl. And that way you get all of the crud and old foundation and old everything, bacteria and things like that out of the brush. And then just rinse it as you go. For these denser brushes, because they don't get cleaned that quickly, I like to go in just with a little bit more and give them more of a deep cleanse. I prefer to use my hand because I find that you can really tell when the product has rinsed off, and when the soap is rinsed off. I've found when I don't use my hand, I always end up with excess soap left in the brush. Just a little bit more in there. But just keep adding and going as you please until you're quite satisfied that your brushes are definitely clean. So make sure you go in all different directions and massage it into the tips as well, just to really get out that foundation. You will find that some brushes will stain, so just be aware if it still isn't coming out and it's pretty clean, it's probably already stained. It all depends on what colours you use and how long you leave it there for. I always squeeze after you rinse it off, because then it shows how much product might be left in or how much soap might be left in the brush. And trust me, it feels gross and greasy if you leave it. So wring it, just mould it into the shape you want for it to dry, and then just place it on a towel. Now I'm going to continue on cleaning all my big brushes and then I'm going to move on to my little ones. Okay, so now we're on to the little brushes. So we're going to get my solid brush cleanser, and what I like to do is I just like to wring it around just to kind of rinse it so it's all moist. Now taking one of your eyeshadow brushes, this one I use for concealer, rinse it off, just wring out the excess and then swirl it in the solid, and you'll start to see some colour come up. Then what I like to do is with the solid on there, just swirl it around my hand just to really work it in and get all the angles. Then once you're done, just rinse it off. You don't need the solid cleanser for your eyeshadow brushes, but I just like to use it because it smells really nice and it's less hassle than squeezing out baby shampoo. Once it's wringed out, just lay it flat or upside down. So I'm going to get on with the rest of these brushes. So now that you're finished washing your brushes on here and it looks pretty filthy, you're just going to rinse it out. First rinse it with water and then run your finger around it just to make sure that that top layer of gunk has gone. Once it's done, tap it off and then you have all nice and clean. So just put the lid back on. My final brush I always leave to the end because it's super dense and it takes a very, very long time to rinse out. So it's this Besame foundation brush or contour brush or however you want to call it, and it's super, super dense. So these are kind of like the brushes, the paddle brushes and things like that that you use to smooth on the makeup. They will take, it takes 3 days to dry fully. And takes almost half an hour to an hour to clean, but it's quite a long process. You kind of have to get the stuff in there and work it into outwards. So the first thing I do is obviously wet it, try and get as much water in there as possible without trying to get it deep into the base where the glue is. So I put a load on my hand and I work it in circular motions just like that on my palm, but then I turn it to the side view, and I rub it into the bristles because it does take a long time. So when you squeeze it, all this foundation comes out, but you've just basically got to work it. So I'm going to continue this. I will deep clean my brushes at least once a month, so that's every single brush, whether I've used it or not, gets a clean because dust and stuff clings to it. Everyday brushes I try to wash at least once a week or once every 2 weeks, depending on how bad they are. Because I have so many brushes, I always, if one's not yet washed but needs washing, I'll go for another brush. For client brushes, I will wash them after every time and I'll spot clean them before I use them and after I use them, in case I need to redo a look or apply some makeup to someone else. I do try to use different brushes for different people. The same with special effects brushes. I try to wash those after every use because some of the stuff gets really stuck in there. and takes a while to come out. I try to look after my brushes the best that I can. There is no specific brush that I use that I love, because I love different ones for different foundations. I use so many different brands, so I don't really have a favourite brand. I do have a lot of the Real Techniques because they're affordable, but I do have some that I've just got off Amazon. I have some that I've picked up from Beautycon and iMats. You know, some are more expensive than others. This one, I believe, retails for £45. Obviously I got it from iMats, so it was about £10 cheaper. But it's still, I believe, one of my most expensive brushes. I'm not fussed between synthetic or real hair, as long as the hair hasn't been taken out cruelly. I find with natural hairs they're easier to wash and dry very, very quick, whereas the synthetic ones can take a while, and some synthetic ones don't feel as nice when you wash them. So be aware of that. Also, if you're going for some brushes, try not to go for like holiday collections, especially like from Boots and Superdrug and things, because you're paying almost the same price for something that you could buy every day. You know, you could buy the Real Techniques anytime, any place, whereas some of the Boots own brands are very scratchy and actually damaging to your eyes, so be aware of that. Also, some new brushes require to be washed, especially if they're coloured, because they actually wring out the colour when you wash them, so it's best to, especially beauty blenders. I found that mine gave me a sort of pink tinge because I forgot to wash mine before I used it, so keep that in mind as well. Okay, so now we are finished with this big brush. It didn't take as long as I thought. It must have not had as much foundation on as I thought it did. So all I do is squeeze out the sides, just to make sure any excess water is out, because it does take a while. And I just rub up and down the bristles, just to kind of give them back their shape a bit more. And then I leave this drying upside down, because obviously I can leave it on its side, but I prefer to leave it upside down or on its side really, because it does have enough density that it stays up like that, and it helps it dry more because it forces the water downwards, and because where it is so dense in here, it does take a long time. But I think that is pretty clean. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, subscribe if you're not, and leave a comment down below what you thought and how you clean your brushes, and if this actually helps you, because you know, this is what I found that's so much more easier than olive oil and very liquid. So see you in my next video. Bye!